listening to the Art of Homeschooling podcast, where we help parents cultivate creativity and connection at home. I'm your host, Jean Miller, and here on this podcast, you'll find stories and inspiration to bring you the confidence you need to make homeschooling work for your family. Let's begin. Hey, and welcome to a new episode here on the podcast. I have something a little different for you today. My hope with this episode is to inspire you to start a singing circle. I've been part of a women's singing circle for over 30 years, a little hard to believe. We gather almost every week. Of course, we're also visiting and catching up with each other's lives, but most of our time together is spent singing. Our circle, which we now call Heart Song, grew out of a need for adult female connection when most of us had very young children. We started with a mom's night out. First, we met monthly, then twice a month, and then weekly on Wednesday evenings. And lately, we've moved our weekly gatherings to the afternoon because all of our kids are grown now. How did we begin singing? Well, honestly, we got tired of talking so much. We were tired of talking about our partners and parenting and education and how hard it was to be with children 24/7. We wanted to do something more uplifting. We wanted something more than just talking about our daily lives, something that would bring us a bit of serenity when we returned home. The idea of singing came up, and so it began. Our motivation was akin to the saying, when words fail, music speaks. And as Cervantes said, he or she, I would say, who sings scares away his woes. We are not a performance group. Our singing together is more like meditation and prayer. Although we have sung at different events for our families and children, and at times when we've had a loved one who was sick. But really, our singing is a form of inner work. It's a way to get quiet and connect with what really matters most, that essential inside each of us. We sing a cappella, which means without instruments or accompaniment. We also celebrate the equinoxes. So 4 times a year, we have a seasonal ritual, the equinoxes and solstices, I should say. And we celebrate each other's birthdays with really sweet handwritten cards and treats. Often these days, we all remark at how amazing it is we've kept this going for so long. We've been together for years and years, seeing each other through so many different phases of life. And we are incredibly grateful for our circle. I recently heard a sweet little story that I found so heartwarming. I was watching the new Netflix series called Live to 100: Secrets of the Blue Zones. Blue zones were identified by author Dan Buettner as communities where people live significantly longer than average. And one of the keys to living a long and healthy life, surprise, surprise, is finding strong social circles or community, a group of friends who see each other through all the trials and tribulations and joys and high points of their lives. One intriguing example of this is in the blue zone of Okinawa, Japan, where people form small groups of 5 or 6 individuals, often in childhood, and remain this support group for each other throughout their entire lives. These are called moai, groups of friends who meet regularly and often, sometimes even a few times a week, to offer lifelong friendship and support to each other, no matter what they might be going through. I'll be sure to put a link to an article about these Moai friend groups in the show notes for this episode. And you can find those at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 153. I had the realization that I have my own little moai in my singing circle. We all 6 of us, are part of this very supportive friend group. And there's even scientific evidence now that shows how singing can improve both mental and physical health and boost happiness. I'll put a link to a recent article in the Washington Post describing the reasons for this and the results of a study called Sing With Us. Have I convinced you yet to start your own singing circle? It can be so very simple and so rewarding. I promise you won't regret it. Here are some steps to help you start your own singing circle. Find 3 to 6 friends who might want to join you. Decide when you'll gather. Weekly, monthly, once a season might be a good place to start. Then decide where to gather. You could rotate each other's homes. You could find a local space. Choose some songs that you can learn and teach the group. And choose a song for opening and one for closing your circle. It's nice to keep those the same every time so you have some consistency with them. To get you started on songs, I'll link to a few recordings on my website from my singing circle, Heart Song. We like to sing a variety of songs, including rounds and chants and simple seasonal songs. Sometimes there are also songs we might share with our kiddos. Sometimes they're just for us. Here are some of the songs that you can find on my website. I have a post, Songs for Peace, where you'll find recordings of a song called Deep Peace Within Me, We Are One, and May We Be at Peace. I'll be sure to link all of these in the show notes. Another post is called Learn New Songs for Spring, where you can find Look at the Beauty, Early One Morning, and New Life's Coming. And there's a post, The Winds of October, where you'll not only find an audio recording of the song, but also sheet music and a video of my friend Jody Messler at Living Music teaching you to play the song on the recorder. Super fun little fact is that I am learning to play the ukulele. I just started lessons with Jody about a month ago, and The Winds of October is the song that I'm currently working on. And as I record this episode, it is the month of October. So that's perfect. Now, here are a few books that I recommend for learning new songs. I've had lots of homeschooling parents and local friends ask, how can we start our own singing circle? And often one of the challenges that they express is, how do I find songs to sing? So, like I said, you can find some recordings on my website, but here are some book recommendations. Our group does not have a songbook. Each of us simply brings new songs when we're inspired to, and we teach the song to the group. We've also learned new songs from some of these wonderful books that have collections of songs for sing-alongs. And I'll put the links in the show notes to these too. So here are some books to check out. Rise Up Singing, the group singing songbook, which is compiled by Peter Blood and Annie Patterson. Gonna Sing My Head Off, American Folk Songs for Children by Kathleen Krull. Circle of Songs, Songs, Chants, and Dances for Ritual and Celebration by Kate Marks. 7 Times the Sun by Shay Darian. Fire Within, Magical and Contemplative Rounds and Songs from Around the World by Labana, an amazing a cappella group. If you can find it, it's out of print, but it's a wonderful book. And a newer book called Continuum, the first songbook of Sweet Honey in the Rock, one of my absolute favorite singing groups. And the book is by Yesai Barnwell. Sweet Honey in the Rock is another wonderful a cappella group. I hope I've inspired you to give it a go and start your own singing circle. As Ella Fitzgerald said, the only thing better than singing is more singing. My wish for you comes from my singing circle's closing song. May you be at peace and may your heart remain open. Good luck and let me know how it goes. Don't forget you can find all the resources I've mentioned in the show notes for this episode at artofhomeschooling.com/episode 153. That's all for today, my friend. But here's what I want you to remember. Rather than perfection, let's focus on connection. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Art of Homeschooling podcast.